What's up, everyone? It's Market Wizard here. It's been a while since I made my last market update video, and that's because we entered a new range with this aggressive sell-off, and I was waiting for the price action to develop so we can talk about lower time frames as well. But before we dive into the low time frames, I'd like to make a quick recap of the higher time frames, and then we move into that. So we finally had a break of the market structure of the high time frames. So as you can see, we have higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and we finally had our first lower low on the high time frames. So this is where everyone finally accepts that we are in a bear market. If you've been following me for a while now, you already know that I flipped bearish as soon as we lost this important level around 108. But anyways, so we've got this new range, which is, we have this 75K as the range highs, all the way down to 70K. I'm not using a single line. I'm using this area as a range high because, as you can see here, we have a lot of highs with different price levels. And we also have this low here around 75. So I'd like to have a bigger range as a range high. And that's the same for the range low, around 50K, 58K, all the way down to 53K. We have this week around 50K as well. But I think this should be enough for a range low. Since we had a break of market structure, I'm not expecting V-shaped reversal from here. If we had a V-shaped reversal, I mean, we would have known by now because it's been 2 weeks since we had this breakdown and the price didn't do something like this already. So this is not a V-shaped reversal. So what should we expect? We should expect some form of a range. Shouldn't take that long. I'm just using this as for illustration purposes. So what else? I also expect this week to get filled eventually around 60K, because most of the times these kind of weeks, they tend to get filled before we move higher. So I'm expecting to at least get 60K out, maybe go even a bit lower, and then we can start talking about longs and spot positions again. But for now, I'm interested only in shorts at range highs. I'm already short from 69K yesterday. What else? I'm having this 58K level here, which is this orange line here is the 200 weekly moving average. It's a very good indication for us for a macro bottom. If you see historically, Bitcoin likes to bottom around this level, except the last bear market. You can see it here. Maybe we should, yeah. So in this occasion, it was the first time that Bitcoin did not bottom around the 200 weekly moving average. But in general, it's a very good level to start accumulating spot Bitcoin. So that's one of the main reasons I'm expecting Bitcoin to bottom around here in this area here. Another reason is the range lows of this 6-month consolidation range that we had in 2024. Also, it's a retest of the previous bull market cycle top. That adds to the confluence. And of course, our Fibonacci level, which is again around 58K. This is the 0.618 Fibonacci level. This is one of the best indications for reversals as well. It's also called the golden ratio. So yeah, this is a great level to accumulate Bitcoin. Not sure if we do some form of a range and then go up, or we just sweep the lows and start going up. That's also a possibility. But for sure, I'm not expecting a recovery from here before we sweep those lows. But of course, if we do get a reclaim of 75K, then I'm willing to flip my bias. But this needs to happen on at least a weekly or monthly level. So if you see the monthly candle here, if it goes above 75, 78K here, and it ends up on SFP on a monthly candle, then yeah, I'm willing to change my bias. But until then, I will wait for sweep of the lows. That's all for the high time frames when it comes to bit. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the weekly RSI, which is currently at the oversold levels. That's also a very good indicator for long-term bottoms. As you can see, last time we bottomed around 15K, 16K, but the RSI went oversold from the 18K level, but still that's not far away. That's like 10%, so, or 20%, not sure. Yes, 10%. So yeah, if you bought the weekly oversold RSI here around 18K, that's very close to the bottom. And you can also do the same here. I mean, we are currently in the oversold level. So, but I'm just saying that we can see like another 10 to 15% downside before we start form a base for the bottom. Let's move on to Ethereum again. Before we go into the lower time frames, let's check Ethereum's high time frame chart. So we also had a breakdown here of the market structure. This was our low around 150, around here. We had a breakdown, and so this is the new range that I'm expecting to take place here. Maybe we can have a range around these levels, around 1.6K and 2.2K. Maybe Ethereum can form some range here before we go to higher prices. But again, I'm willing to change bias if we get a reclaim on a weekly basis above 2.2K. Let's move into, before I move into lower time frames, I'd like to cover S&P 500, which is something that we should keep an eye on. because it's a very good indication on when the crypto market will also bottom. That's what I did that's what I used as an indication back in April when we had this retest here of the previous all-time high. We currently see some weakness here on a weekly level. As you can see, we have this bearish divergence on the RSI. We also had a few SFPs here at around 7,000. And also this rising wedge, very similar to what we had last year. It's a very, very, very similar structure. You see here the oversold, the bearish divergences, the rising wedge, and I see very, very similar structure here. So this is a level that I'm expecting S&P 500 to bottom around 6,000, which is again a retest of the previous all-time high. So that could be used to time the crypto bottom as well. The crypto market can bottom a bit earlier because the downtrend started from October. So most of the downturn of crypto is priced in my opinion. So let's say if S&P 500 goes 10% down from here, I'm expecting Bitcoin to also at least go back to 60K, maybe a bit lower. And I'm expecting these to be the bottom. But yeah, the reason I'm using S&P 500 is to time the bottom of the crypto market. I would also like to talk about the dollar index. We had this bullish deviation below the range lows. We have the reclaim and the retest of the range lows of the reclaim here. So I'm expecting the dollar to still keep going up, at least up to 100, which is bearish for risk assets. So for stocks and crypto, obviously. I'd like to cover Solana high time frame before we go to the low time frames, because this is a very interesting chart. Solana has been supported by this level 120 for 2 years straight. We only had this deviation here back in last year tariff crash around the 100, and then we kept being supported by this range. We finally broke down. I don't see Solana reclaiming this anytime soon. Even if we get a relief, I'm expecting more downside after that. Where I will be interested to buy Solana, not sure that it goes that low, but yeah, maybe that's a bit exaggerated, to be honest, but I would be very interested to buy Solana down here around $30 for at least 3x upside. That's a very good opportunity if we get it, obviously. So now that we covered the higher time frames, let's get into the lower time frames. So now that the price action developed a bit, I'd like to identify the range. Here we have range lows around 60K, which is the wick that I'm expecting to be filled at some point in the future. And range highs around 71, 72K, somewhere around here. And we also have a few other interesting levels. So this 65K around here, this is the mid range, and 68, 69K here. This box here is our pivot zone, because as you can see, Bitcoin was supported here, and then again here and here. And when it broke down, this level was finally resistance for some days, and then up again, being supported here again. A few fake outs. We're seeing a lot of chop around this zone, and that's what we see. We usually see around the pivot zone. Bitcoin loves to chop everyone around the pivot zone as usual. We also have these two moving averages here, which is acting as resistance for now. This is the 50 moving average, the yellow line, and the orange line is the 200 moving average. So what I'm expecting here, so Bitcoin, if it manages to reclaim this pivot zone, then we could easily see something like this, take range highs again, and maybe we can also have some bearish deviation here, because there is a lot of liquidations above this level, a lot of stop losses, and Bitcoin loves to take liquidity before the real move begins. We've seen that in the previous range that we had. Let's go back and see. This is the previous range that we had in from November until late January. So Bitcoin left all these lows unswept, and it kept trading above the mid-range for 2 months. Then it finally went above the range highs. So this is our range highs. As you can see, we got a lot of rejections here. And then this is where Bitcoin trapped everyone. Right here. There are so many stop losses above this level, obviously because of shorts where they had these their stop losses above the resistance. Bitcoin went up, they closed all the stop losses of the shorts. Breakout buyers stepped in. They thought that will keep going up, but then the real move begins, and maybe we can see something similar here. But for that to happen, as I said, it needs to reclaim 69K first. So maybe if it does something like this and then move down to range lows again. Whatever the case, I'm expecting Bitcoin to go back to range lows, even if it goes up first, or maybe it sweeps the mid-range again and then goes up. But eventually, I'm expecting the lows to be taken as always. And I can show you 1,000 examples of the Bitcoin sweeping the lows before moving higher or lower. So it's very rare for the lows to be unswept. It happened in the COVID crash, but that was a very, a rare occasion. And what else I wanted to talk about? Okay, maybe I can show you why I'm expecting the lows to be taken. So as you can see, during the bull market, we saw these SFPs on the weekly level right before Bitcoin continued upwards. As you can see, Bitcoin loves to sweep the lows before it moves upwards. Here as well, and here, and then here again. But it also does the same when it goes down. As you can see, weekly SFP here, boom, down, and then again here, and it went down again. So that's why I'm expecting the lows to be taken eventually. Whether it goes down or up after this doesn't matter, but these will be taken at some point. That's what I'm expecting for Bitcoin. And let's move into Ethereum lower time frames. This is what we have here. Very similar structure with Bitcoin. The range lows here, range highs here. Then we have our mid-range here. This diagonal is acting as resistance right now. And also the 200 moving average again here. So this 2000 level is the pivot zone for Ethereum. Something similar with 68K for Bitcoin. So what should we expect from Ethereum? If it manages to reclaim this level, then you can expect a push up to range highs and potentially get a deviation, the same thought process that we had on Bitcoin. Otherwise, it can just start going down from here. I'm also expecting Ethereum to sweep the lows. Same thought process that we have for Bitcoin. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to cover. So if you liked the video, please subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, and that will help the channel grow. You can also follow me on Twitter or on my Discord, where I share my trade signals. And I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.